New details emerge after an Indiana doting husband and father allegedly confesses to murder after feeling unappreciated. Were warning signs missed?
Warning signs? Unappreciated? That is not justification for murder. And joining me, who I've got a lot of problems with him, Greg Morse, a veteran trial lawyer. He's the partner at a big law firm, King Morse. He's apparently the king of the courtroom down in Palm Beach County, Florida. But to Shannon Henry joining us, you can look at Morse, but keep his mic cut for just a moment. Shannon Henry joining me from SAS, Surviving Assault, Standing Strong. We got off topic because what you were saying was so interesting. But I want to go back to what Morse said. He responded and got angry to her because of her reaction to his Paris theme night, which was basically a bottle of cheap red wine and playing a song on his iPhone. That was the theme night. And then getting some sexy dress and making her wear it and dance with him. That was the theme night. Okay. Right there, Shannon Henry, I can't tell you how many times I heard, I did it because she fill in the blank. Here is my seminal example, Shannon. This is a real example. This happened on the hotline at the Battered Women's Center. The man beats the wife so badly she has to go to the hospital because he was bringing people from work home and he told her to make a Mexican dinner. So she makes a Mexican dinner. He comes in and finds out, I don't remember which one, she made tacos, not enchiladas, and he beat her to a pulp. So he actually said, well, it's because she made the wrong thing. Here you hear Greg Morse defend, and I know what he's doing. He's defending the husband here. That's his job. He is saying he just had this response because of her reaction. She reacted badly and he responded. It's always the woman's fault, Shannon.
It's always the woman's fault. And what's so sad is to look at the stack of red flags that are against him. He had no remorse. He bragged about how big the knife was. He sent the pictures. He made her do a song and dance in front of him and act like she enjoyed it. And when she didn't seem to appreciate it, he murdered her, and he is the only one responsible for that.
We also learned that he was convinced his wife was dating a coworker. Enter Barry Hutchinson, former law enforcement, 26 years, veteran detective, now owner, chief operator of Barry and Associates Investigative Services, and you can find him on his new website, PI, Private Investigator, Barry, Barry. Barry, thank you for being with us. Oh, what a tangled web results from imagining your mate is having an affair with a coworker. Lucky for me, my husband, he knew I would never have an affair with a defense attorney or all the other eligible men that were in the courtroom, mostly convicted felons in leg irons and shackles. And I have never even considered that he would run around with a client or a coworker. In fact, one time I read his emails one time. They were so boring. He's a banker. My eyes bled. It was awful. If I had to check up on a man to figure out if he's cheating, why do I need him? Bye-bye. But here, this guy was convinced she's having an affair and it justified murder.
Well, there's no justification in murder, regardless of what the circumstances are, Nancy. You know that as well as I do. I think what we have here is a classic case of when motive meets opportunity. I think it was a long-based toxic relationship that this young lady, unfortunately, should have been out of long before this ever happened. The only saving grace in this whole scenario that I can even come up with in my mind is that I'm just thankful that it didn't turn out to be a SWAT call where the kids were endangered, where he actually executed the children too, as the ultimate showing of, I'm going to hurt them in front of you just to show you what I think of you kind of deal. We've seen that happen on SWAT calls many, many, many times. And we're fortunate that didn't take place.
You mean what they call now, Barry, a family annihilator. So, what I'm asking you, and it was in a very roundabout way, and I apologize for that. Barry, I know that as a PI, you get a lot of calls about, I think my girlfriend, boyfriend, ex, wife, blah, blah, is cheating. Isn't it true that very often people get this in their head and it's absolutely not true at all?
That's very true. Very true. In fact, the biggest thing that we do, and we tell all of our clients this up front, is that our mission is to vet your spouse that they are not cheating. And if it turns out that they are, then we'll address it at that point. But our mission is to vet them that they are not doing so.
Guys, listen to what happened.
Deborah's friend receives a photo texted from Deborah's phone. It shows Deborah Meyer motionless and bloody on the floor of her home with the caption, "Your fault." 911 dispatch gets a call from a coworker of Deborah Meyer. When they arrive, Taylor Meyer is refusing to come to the door. Almost as soon as police arrive, so does Deborah Meyer's coworker.
Okay, I've got so much premeditation. It's out the yin-yang technical legal term here. To Kristen Awayo joining me, National News anchor Salem News, explain to me that sequence of events. The coworker finds out that there's a, quote, domestic situation, which is, a euphemism for somebody's getting their rear end beat. All right, that's what that means. Coworker calls 911, and coworker says Deborah Meyer is being attacked right now. Go to this address. Cops get there, and then the coworker gets a text. Describe that sequence of events for me so I understand exactly what happened.
That's the wildest part about all of this, right? So Deborah Meyer's husband, Taylor, actually calls a contact in the phone who he thinks is the boyfriend, which is actually the coworker, while he's sitting on Deborah Meyer's back, and she's screaming in the background, "Help me, help me, help me." So her coworker hears this while her husband is telling the coworker, "This is all your fault." So of course the coworker calls the cops and says she's in danger. I can hear her screaming. He hops in his car, hightails it over to her house, as do the cops, and they're meeting in the front yard. The cops are trying to get into the front door. Of course, Taylor Meyer's not answering the door because he's abusing his wife, possibly killing her at that very moment, because it was while the coworker was standing in the front yard of the home, he gets the text message of the picture of Deborah Meyer on the floor of her own home, dead. So that's when police officers decide to bust down the door. They said that Taylor Meyer was aggressive, resisted arrest, and they finally arrested him. But it's almost safe to presume that he could have been in the act of killing her while the police officers and the coworker were out on the front lawn trying to get into the house. I mean, it was that tight of a timeline.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.